Hey, welcome back, Rankers. Coming to you from Adelaide this week. We're at a big Digital Adelaide conference, and so far it's been pretty awesome. This morning we heard from some great speakers. So we had people talking about AI, people talking about, we just had an excellent presentation from Haig's Chocolates. Now, if you're not familiar with Haig's Chocolates, yeah, yummy. And probably Australia's premium brand. It's probably the only premium brand of chocolate in Australia that's been around for over 50 years or something. So, but interesting presentation, and they're moving to a Magento 2.0 site in the not too distant future. And the reason I'm here is tomorrow I'm doing a presentation on site migration. So we're going to look at three types of site migration. We're going to look at moving from, say, just an old CMS to a new CMS. Or maybe you're actually upgrading the whole site, whole new look and feel. So that's one type of site migration. And the reason I sit those two together in the same bucket is because you need a similar skill set to handle that sort of migration. And then the other two types of migration are certainly just HTTPS, which is on everybody's lips at the moment. And then the one I've just gone through, which is moving domain names. That's another type of site migration. They all have different functions and they're all slightly different skill sets, but essentially they are site migrations. And one of the things I was saying to Fiona from Haig's who gave the presentation, it was that when she does go to Magento 2.0 and awesome speed enhancements on 2.0, have a look at the index bloat that the site's got, because you've got to fix those things up. So when you do launch a new site, don't launch with the index bloated. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So sorry if the camera gets a little bit shaky, but I'm using the webcam. So I'll give you for instance. So let's go to here. So I've just done a search for, because I did a site search for Haig's Chocolates, and I found 18,800 results. And I'm thinking, you don't have that many chocolates. That's a lot of chocolate, right? So I then drilled down a little bit further, and what I found was that the search function on the site is auto-generating all these pages, and Google is indexing them. Now, typically what we would do in this situation is just block the bot from that search function altogether. I think back in the day, it was almost a terms of service thing where probably Google's got it written down somewhere. You should actually block it from search function on the site. And what I've done here is that I've isolated the URL string that is, or the URL path, I should say, that is generating all of these empty URLs. And you can see here, there's 13,500 of them. So what you want to do is remove all of those before you launch if you've got a similar sort of issue. So, and it's a really simple thing to do. Like, first of all, you've got to stop the bot getting into that part of the site and that function. And then once you've done that, however you want to do it, robots.txt, no index tags, whatever it might be, then you can just go and do a URL removal. But you've got to obviously, of course, first make sure it's no indexed, or make sure that Google can't basically re-index it or re-crawl it. So you could even do no follows, but no follows is not a guarantee that Google won't re-index it, because if Google finds it through another link that's not no follow, then it will re-index it. Similarly, I said you can't just do canonicals necessarily here, because depending on how the site is structured, canonicals will only work well if you are using them on pages that you're also not giving extra authority to in the site. So for instance, we've had clients where they've applied the canonical tag to a whole set of pages which were duplicates of products, of their individual products, and that basically they were pages that were sorting results differently or listing the product in a different way, but essentially the same content. And so they applied canonicals to all of these, which is what Google said to do. But unfortunately, because of the way that the site was designed, Google just basically ignored the canonicals. So just remember that canonicals don't work all the time. They're purely a suggestion for Google, if you like. It's not a directive like a no index. It is a suggestion. And the reason that Google was indexing all these pages that had already been canonicaled was because they were linked to on every page of the site. So Google's saying, well, you're linking to all these pages with canonicals, so they must have authority. There must be important pages on your site if you're linking to them. Therefore, we think that we're going to ignore that canonical tag and put them all in. So that's all about site migration. And one other thing I learned this week too, if you are doing a change of domain, you're moving from domain, and you're doing the constant site check on the old domain to see if the index has gone down. And when you find that it hovers, just keep an eye on Search Console. And when you see impressions at a point in Search Console where you think, you know what, that's negligible in impressions, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So you go to your Search Console, go to your old domain. That's our new domain. Go to the old domain. Where is the old domain? I'll find the old domain in a second. Here it is, over here. So, if we go to the old domain, you'll see a lovely little graph that looks horrific, as it's meant to, and it looks a little bit like that. Right? That's what you want to see, obviously, because this is the old domain that we've moved away from. And when you see the impressions get to sort of a negligible level. So for me, that was about there, 13 impressions. Over the course of that period, I went, let's just do a manual removal of the whole domain now. And that was scary as hell. Now, one of the concerns when you do that is it going to remove the new domain as well? Because they're linked and there's the change of address. It doesn't. It's fine. What you don't want to be doing is that same thing in a HTTPS migration, though. So if you are looking at how many HTTP results you've still got left in the search results after you've moved to HTTPS, don't go and manually remove the HTTP results, because you will also manually remove your HTTPS results, because remember, it's just a protocol. It's not you're removing a different version of the URL, but it's the same one, if that makes sense. Whereas in this case, it's not. They're two separate domains. So you can actually remove the old domain completely when you're happy the impressions are down enough, and it stops you looking every day to say, why are they still indexed? Why are these pages still indexed? Just gets rid of that out of your head. Hopefully that's helpful, and we'll see you back in Melbourne. Thanks, guys. Bye.